Matt Nass has been unleashing his own fiendish creations on the Pro Tour for a whole year now, and going back even longer than that. But you know, really, just this season's been kind of crazy for you. What is it about a card like Cryptolith Rite that excites you as a deck designer?
Yeah, I mean, this is the type of card that, at least recently, there's no other card like it. I know if you go far enough back, there's like Earthcraft and things like that, but...
You mean a banned card?
Yes, a card that's been banned in many a format. Granted, that was partially with an infinite combo, but it was also with the mana generation.
So what is this card's... You know, how does this speak to you in terms of like building a deck?
Well, it's kind of a weird combination of things that you need to make this card good. You need a lot of creatures, but also a lot of small creatures, but also a way to spend a lot of mana. And normally those two things aren't in the same deck. You know, if you're playing a humans Weenie type deck, you have the creatures necessary to make this card good, but what are you going to be spending all that mana on? If you're playing a, you know, Esper Dragons type deck, control or something, you have lots of stuff to spend mana on, but you don't have the creatures to tap. But if you can manage to use cards that are cheap creatures that also have abilities that can sink mana, like Duskwatch Recruiter, or X spells that make lots of tokens, like Secure the Waste. There's a lot of different ways to get both of those things, and if you can find the sweet spot there, it can be incredibly powerful.
So where did you end up? Explain how you ended up with the deck that you built with ChannelFireball.
Yeah, well, we started more with Secure the Waste decks, actually, with this card, and saw how powerful the card was, but ended up not liking the decks quite enough to play it. And later we realized that in the Black-Green Sacrifice, Black-Green Company deck, you had a lot of the creatures. We had some of the mana sinks, since, you know, we have a lot of 3-drops, and Company costs 4, Abbey costs 5. We have to activate. We have some things that cost mana, but we didn't quite have all of it. And once we saw the Duskwatch Recruiters and Bant Company, we're like, wow, this is perfect. And so Duskwatch Recruiter plus Cryptolith Rites is where we ended up, and that combo performed for just about everyone who played the deck all day.
And then what if you're playing that deck, what do the end turns of that deck look like? Like what are you doing to people? How are you winning with Cryptolith Rite into all this payoff?
So like a really good curve would be turn 1 drop, either Loam Dryad or Blister Pod, turn 2 Cryptolith Rite, and then preferably another 1-drop, tapping the 1-drop you played on turn 1 for a green, but, you know, not necessarily necessary. And then on turn 3, you can play a Company, which is awesome. You know, a lot of decks have gotten by playing Company on turn 4, but if you can play it on turn 3, that's certainly better. And you can also, you know, just play a Catacomb Sifter or something, and then on turn 4, it's pretty easy to activate a Westvale Abbey, because if you have the 5 creatures, they tap for the mana by themselves.
Oh, wow. And that almost functions like another Nantuko Husk in this deck, too.
Right. So then if you have a Zulaport out, you know, drain for 5, and the Ormondal attacks for 9, that's 14 damage. If you have 2 Zulaports out, that's 19 damage.
Who would ever have 2 Zulaports out, Matt Nass? That's crazy talk. All right, Matt Nass, he likes to cast his collected companies on turn 3. What about you?